Um, as you know, failure was my favorite. Right after Nirvana, since I was a kid. It's an interesting thing being hunted by the Illuminati because their workers will scream shit at you so you know a little bit about them. Like, I would have never believed the rumor they hurt kids if not for the fact their own workers are using me as a Catholic confessional. Like, I get the first few months, they'd be like, "You think this is something? They hurt kids! This is nothing!" Like, in their own delusional guilt, you know? Like, so I would have completely blown off the right wing rumor that they do weird stuff to kids. I mean, we know about Epstein, but the top layer of Epstein is it's just 17, barely legal girls. They're not like doing weird rituals with 10-year-olds or anything. So like what they do let you know and incriminate people with is like, okay, they're after high school girls and they're just like loathsome like degenerates, but they're not like they don't like take a baby and eat it and like rape it or anything as part of like that's not real. That's some shit Alex Jones would make up. That's what I would have thought, and except for the fact, being hunted by them, their workers have constantly in guilt told me about the kids. Like, they rape kids. They do really bad stuff to kids. So, at this point, I'm inclined to believe that's true, simply because so many of their workers have said my rapes are nothing because they rape little babies, right? I don't know how that logic works for them, but it does apparently. Like, if I rape this woman, it's not a big deal because I've already raped kids. Like, that seems to be how a lot of workers reason. Like, that's not logic, but that it is for degenerate criminals orbiting them apparently. Like, this rape is not a big deal because I rape kids and I'm with people who rape kids. But like I said, I would never believe it. I wouldn't believe in it as shit like they're Satanists, they're in a weird satanic cult and they rape. If not for the fact the guys who are raping me, drugging me and raping me were constantly telling me this, right? I wouldn't believe it, but I'm inclined to believe them now. And so I know a little bit about them. Like, I know they identify as atheists, but they're actually in a religious cult of Satanism. And they're not real atheists because they make up myths like a religion that they're immortal. They will literally call each other immortals. This I can prove. Like, the people who were orbiting me since I was a kid, like Emily Deans, since I was like turned 30, started calling each other immortal in front of me, right? So I know they call each other immortals. So whenever you hear a celebrity screaming, "I'm immortal," she's referencing the Illuminati, like Taylor Swift, for example. They have this delusion they're immortal and they reincarnate. And the baby eating, raping thing, right? Like, we know about Epstein, but they kind of try to lie to the people that it was just like dirty rich men going after high school girls for a power high, but not like kids. But let me tell you, they've been telling me that shit's true. I'm inclined to believe them. And also, there's objective data to support that in a sense. They don't order their ass lickers to tell you this, but in the Epstein files, there's pictures of him with 10-year-olds. There's pictures of him holding little girls. And there's jokes like a picture card that says how to give a massage to a baby, like a literal baby. And if you're unfamiliar with Epstein, massage is keyword to groom an innocent, a youth into sex slavery. So there's like how to give a massage to a baby, and there were overt pictures of them holding like 10-year-olds. So plus them constantly screaming they're child rapists, right? And it's like that's something I would never believe. I would just be like, why would they? Now it's like obviously they're evil and it helps control them, right? But what's interesting being in my position, being followed by these monstrous degenerates, that are the reason the world is so bad. They are the reason. Like they have this schizophrenic lie, like we balance the world, we rule the world, but then you look at the world, the technology we have, we shouldn't have scarcity. They make all this horrors. Really, they do. If there's any major event in the world, odds are they're behind it. They can even control weather. again, they try to act like there's a crazy conspiracy theory. In the Vietnam War, they had weather modification technology. They could do cloud seeding at that time, and a strategy they used in the Vietnam War. And keep in mind, this is 50 years ago. A strategy they used in the Vietnam War was to use the primitive technology they had of cloud seeding to during the rain season in Vietnam to make the rains heavy, because in Vietnam it was basically guerrilla warfare. The Vietnamese would hide in the forests, and the American soldiers had a huge disadvantage, and that's a big reason we didn't win easily, because they had the terrain advantage. They knew the land, and they had lots of forest to ambush and outsmart the Americans, right? So we use cloud seeding, try to use their terrain against them by making the rainy season monsoons, excessive rain. And after that, it was banned and considered illegal warfare. But do you think they actually stopped researching weather modification? All I can say is this. Billionaires who are on the outs have been known to be hit by precise hurricanes in the middle of the ocean that kill only them and spare everybody else on the boat. And North Carolina, the liberal areas of North Carolina were hit up into the election, which is, by the way, a purple state. And again, the woman screaming she's immortal. A few weeks before that happened, she was driving through North Carolina lamenting the souls of her slave owner ancestors a few days before that horrible random hurricane happened. So, just food for thought. Anyway, I'm giving a backstory about my knowledge of what rules us. Illuminati, Satanists. Again, as a practical person, I would have no real interest in conspiracy theories. I denounced all the, and now I realize a lot of these conspiracy accounts they use to poison the well. So when you have a crazy motherfucker saying the elites are mermaids, also saying they're Satanists to abuse kids, it kind of makes the whole pot look bad and a joke. And that's probably why I didn't take it seriously, because everybody's saying that shit, says a lot of crazy shit. And they themselves make these conspiracy accounts say this stuff. So people become more resistant to the truth. Because the people saying it, they hire say so many crazy things you can know are fake, that truth seems fake too. But that's a strategy they use to make people resistant to the truth. And at this point, I'm reasonably confident the Illuminati are Satanists. And Satanism is a cult that probably the CIA developed to control people in media, influencers, their own lower level agents. And they tell themselves they're atheists, but they're actually in a weird religion. And they have myths like being immortal that they celebrate with each other. And there's some weird shit they do with kids. Anyway, being hunted by the Illuminati, it's interesting because you can look back at media from the 80s and 90s and you see things you didn't see when you was little, right? Like, for example, Sting and the Police, their debut album, all three band members are making a triangle with a triangle behind them, and one eye is covered for all of them. Keep in mind, when that was released, it was before popular culture where many hip hop artists would do that. Nobody was doing that. It wasn't like, like the excuse they give these days is all these hip hop artists do this just to get press and attention. It's not real. That's the excuse they give today why they're all doing this, right? When Sting and the Police did that, nobody did that. They didn't have hip artists doing that. Back then it was called rap, and they weren't doing that, right? So there was like no one in popular culture doing that, but yet you see Sting and the Police clearly making an Illuminati sign. It kind of suggests it's real, given when they did that. At that point it was they hid it so much from people that nobody did that, right? And it's just like you wouldn't know unless you look back, right? Music I like, because I don't care about that, but music I like, a lot of my favorite artists were talking about holy shit, like upon being initiated. I never realized this at the time. Like, one of my favorite bands is Far, right? Their whole opening debut CD on a major label is a protest of them. I didn't even realize. Of course, I couldn't realize. But literally the first two tracks on this album, the first one is What I've Wanted to Say. His opening line is the best and the worst of me at the same time. As above, so below. They have this belief good and evil is maximized in them. Male and female, good and evil, everything. They are the world. They have this like delusion. While being atheists, they're so religious, and he references that. And the first couple lines are just opposites and saying nothing matters. And then toward the end, he whispers as if like trying not to be heard, but also be heard by the people. Like, I want for you what I want for me, meaning he's not down with this idea of subjugating people for special privilege. And then says the flashlight, the means, the medium. Yeah, I think I'll also say this. If you don't listen, I'll still say this, and I don't mind. It's all very vague. But then you look at the front cover, it's a triangle, but tipped on its side. Very clearly, it's an elongated triangle, so the top is like this. And a little kid is holding it, screaming into it. And a similar shape is on their band logo. And it's a little kid. And after that title track comes Love American Style, which seems to be a totally different song, but it's literally more explicitly saying what the first song is saying, right? So the first one's vague deliberately because he's talking like, I want to tell you. And the second song, I know you. Oh my God, you're the famous person who killed a lot of kids. I'm gonna tell the media, Geraldo or Oprah, they're all the same. So I had already noticed that, but what I didn't, I just realized recently is Comfort by Failure. Similar. I half think Comfort by Failure may have inspired Far, which came out a few years later. But first of all, the cover features Baphomet eating a baby. I'm not even shit, like, it's not even that vague. It's literally, there shows a smiling child in a corner looking up and a horned goat standing over her. Whereas, like, Far kind of wrote theirs as like a protest. Like, I feel like Failure was more like, I'm gonna highlight this creepy ass shit, oh my God, versus a protest. And in terms of songs on the album that could reference what that cover is, Baphomet eating a small female child. There's something. And rather isn't the style of What I've Wanted to Say, it's just vague mumblings. Like that references his nervous emotionality. I want to think, I'll sleep it away. Something I forgot, somewhere to sit down, some stuff to do up. And the chorus is, we're the credulous ones. And I feel like when I heard that phrase and analyzed it, I'm like, this seems like a significant phrase. In the sense, credulous means gullible rubes, but it also sounds like credit and credible. And I think that was chosen deliberately. Like, if I'm right and it's referencing them, it seems like making the chorus say, we're the credulous ones, kind of significant. In the sense it means a mark, but it also sounds vaguely like credibility and credit. And the last line of the chorus is blowing bucks into banks with no shame, so. And the very last line of the song is, don't try to read this, because it means nothing, which is, of course, the polar opposite of the song, something. I can't say this if you hear it, so. That sounds like a threat. Like, a threat. Like, I feel like the whole song of Something is, like, about his conflict of what he's seen to get where he is, right? And the title is in polar opposite of the very last line. Don't read this, it means nothing. I can't say this if you hear it. Overlaps of the Far song. I'll say this. If you don't hear it, I don't mind. I'll still say it. Like, I'm trying to get you to hear it. I don't care if you don't, I'm going to try. And then the next song after that, rather like on Far's album, the next song is much more explicit. Like, did you know the leaders of America just eat babies? The next song is called Screen Man. And again, it's vague. It's not explicit like the Far song, but it's like someone in the screen. And what's a screen? TV, radio. The Screen Man is following him and scaring him, and ordered him to pick, and he wants to win, and he's trying to be intimidated and frightened. Now, at the time in 1992, you would say this is just a song about a paranoid person who maybe has delusions about television and people following him. That's all it is. But in today's world, with so many people dropping bits and pieces to discredit the bits and pieces, you could make a connection here. Like, you got Baphomet eating a baby on the cover. You got Something, which is just about internal turmoil, holding a secret. You got Screen Man, which is deliberately penned to sound like a schizophrenic person, like the Screen Man is following me. But there's the opening line ordering him to pick, and he picks from the left corner. There are videos of people saying that one of the things they do is get you in a room and lay out all the holy books, and they say, pick yours. And then you have to recite this weird shit. There are no gods but me. I denounce all gods but me. So it's kind of weird that I'm suspecting this about them. And this song he seems to have deliberately written as if it's about a schizo followed by people on TV. To be vague. The first line is the Screen Man's ordering him to pick, and he wants to win. He wants to be famous. He wants to make it. And again, the last line, like the song before it, I can't speak about this to anyone. This man's eyes are serious. He's the man in my screen, and he's come here to frighten me. I think when they wrote this song, they deliberately made it sound like a schizo who's paranoid of the TV coming after him. But he wanted to speak about his experiences and feelings. So he wrote it in that style, knowing that people won't know, no, this really happens. Like when you're going to get signed to a label, when you're a big actor, they lock you in a room, do weird shit with kids, and they tell you to pick your book and denounce it. The Screen Man. And that's just some shit I would never have insight into if I weren't a victim, right? All my favorite artists were singing about the Illuminati all this time. Who knew?